Sioux Falls, South Dakota is where we go next. Cole is on the line. Cole, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hello, how are you?
Cole, I am living the dream. What's up?
Just have a question about job interviewing skills. Actually, just wondering how I can make myself stand out. I had a job interview back in February, and it did not go as how I wanted it to. I did not get the job. Unfortunately, it's one of those where you can only interview once a year. So I'm just wondering how I can prepare myself for next time again, which would be next February. I just graduated college, and my GPA was okay. I had a few rough semesters, so I'm thinking that that's what they looked at overall. But my major GPA was pretty good. So just wondering if you have any advice for me.
So this is a thing this is the only thing you want to do or can do, and you struck out, so you can't even reapply till 2021?
That's correct. It's for a police officer position.
Ah, okay. And how many interviews did you have?
Just one.
Okay. Well, and you're how old?
I'm 24.
24. Okay. All right. Well, be encouraged that you can do things to stand out. But we actually let off the show today on the data on getting hired, and you're also in a very competitive profession, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you're looking at the chances of you getting the job, are in that 20 to probably 30%. So the way that you're going to get the gig is you're going to have to really focus on connections. I think qualifications matter, but qualifications are a baseline, and you don't stand out if all you're focusing on is, well, I'm qualified.
Right.
The way you're going to stand out is connections. And I hate to oversimplify it, but it's really the truth. I'm going to give you a copy of my best-selling book, The Proximity Principle, because you've got to read that through and through. And you actually start working it, okay? There's 5 people and 5 places that we spend a lot of time on, and then we focus on practices in the last section of the book. People, places, practices. And so, Cole, I don't know if you've heard me talk about the proximity principle, and I'm not talking about the book, I'm talking about the actual principle. The principle says in order for Cole to do what he wants to do, he's got to be around people that are doing it and in places where it is happening. So let's apply this directly to you. In order for Cole to be a police officer, a law enforcement officer, he's got to be around police, sheriffs. He's got to be in places where those folks are happening. So whether you're volunteering for their associations, their meetings or whatever, whatever you can do, or you're volunteering at the police station, or you're showing up for their charity events and doing stuff and making connections. Do you understand what I mean by places when I give you those couple of ideas?
I sure do.
Of course you do. See, Cole, here's the deal. You're 24, and your GPA won't matter if the players in the police department or in the sheriff's department get to know you, and they realize that you're passionate about the profession and that you're hungry and humble. You're willing to do whatever it takes. And so I would be looking for opportunities to volunteer. Again, where they're working, get involved in their charity things and be visible, and sit down with these men and women and say, hey, I want to do what you do. What advice would you give me on how to, and don't just say, hook me up. That's not what they don't need to hear that. They need to know that you want to sit down with them and buy their lunch, buy them coffee, or buy them a donut and go, hey, how'd you get where you are? What's the key to being a great law enforcement officer? What are you worried about? What do you need to protect yourself from? What's your position on all this, where we've got some systemic issues going on? We've got good cops, bad cops. Every industry has good fruit and bad fruit. Every industry, not just police. Really dive into all this. And when you do that, you're going to develop relationships. And now these relationships are going to, next time you apply, they go, hey, I know this kid, Cole. Great kid. Love to mentor him. Think we need to put him in there. Do you see how that makes you rise out of the pile of applicants? Do you see how that works?
I sure do. Yep.
You got this, man. That's how you prepare. Now, one other thing I want you to do. I'm about ready to put you on hold. Madison's going to get you a copy of the book, The Proximity Principle. I want you to read it, and I want you to do it. But I also want you to go to kencoleman.com right now, and I want you to download the resume guide and the How to Win the Interview guide. They're free. These are part of our Get Hired guides, and I want you to digest and do. All right? And you're going to get there. I promise, Cole. Thank you for the call.